Okay, we are live. Welcome back to another town hall, everybody. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Adam. All right, I'm going to share my screen so we get some notes and we'll get started. Sarah, I trust you can help us with notes today.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All right, so action items. Let's see. Rick, any updates on the emails for the chapter audit? How's that going?
I'm still holding
Rick,
off.
I just emailed you about it.
Okay. I
Okay.
was waiting to hear from Sarah before I
Okay.
proceed.
So you've got what you need from Sarah now. We can go ahead and start.
I don't know if she, let me go look. I have not seen your email yet.
That's fine. You don't need to do it right now. We'll let you take care of that later. Next one is for me to add some important links into our wiki, which I have not gotten to yet. That takes a little bit more time. But I did these others. So let's see, work with Evan to set up paid licenses for Trello. That's done. We are set up and Adam and I now have full access. And we'll talk more about that. Adam, we've got an action item for you to work on getting Trello set up the way we want for tracking projects. Have you had any chance to start in on that?
That'd be really cool. Hey, Jeremy. Actually, I was traveling for business this week. No, I haven't even had eyes on it.
Okay, no problem. We'll leave that for next time. And then I have an action item to schedule a meeting with Brent Hollers to look at the new matching platform, as well as talking about the collection and distribution process. I did send him an email and we are working to coordinate something. So that's in progress. I'll leave it on there until we meet. Next one is for me to create a job description for the matching platform, and I'm holding off on that one until I meet with Brent, depending on to see how that goes. He expressed interest and he seems to have a very relevant background. So that's pending. Email Ian about continuing education credits. I did do that. I think I'll leave it on here just as a reminder until I hear back from him. So I'll leave that. John, post matching platform job to Fiverr. Okay, so that again would come later. Let me in fact put these under that because it'll depend on my discussion with Brent. Sarah, update and publish the press release for Spence for Ukraine. Where are we at with David?
I'm gonna reach out to David one more time today to just get confirmation that he is okay with the most updated version of the press release.
Okay.
I talked to him a few days ago and he said that he had scanned it and thought it looked good, but wanted to give it a thorough read and would let me know. So I'll ask him today if he has done that.
So I have a suggestion here. I'm not as plugged into this as you and John are, so you guys tell me if this makes sense. But it seems to me that the need, is in the Ukraine is now, and I'm a little concerned about the fact that we're going weeks and weeks back and forth in this press release. Is there any reason to hold off on sort of formally inviting our community to get involved? Does that need to be tied to the press release? I mean, is there any reason we can't let the community know, guys, start printing, let's go, let's get these going, even if we're not ready to publish the press release yet?
I agree, Jeremy. We don't have to wait for the press release.
Because I saw there was some message in the hub, somebody asking on, I think it was on our events page or something, asking,
Yeah, that was
hey,
Gary.
has this been announced yet? And, Sarah had to respond, no, it hasn't been. And so that tells me that volunteers are like waiting, to get involved. They don't think it's started yet. And I think there are, we really should be sending these now if we can.
Yeah.
So do you want to just go ahead and do you want to kind of do an official announcement in the hub, Sarah, and just let people know we want everyone possible to get involved and start printing? And here's a link to the page with details and press release coming soon.
Yeah, I can definitely make that post.
Yeah, I think we should.
And
maybe even as part of the pinned post, just so that it's really a focus.
And in a few Facebook, enable.all, and that's probably the right one.
Okay.
Oh, and the Enabling the Future Facebook page.
Okay.
Yep.
While we're on the topic, is there anyone else that you would want to look over the final press release before and get a confirmation on before sending it out to everyone?
I think it's cooked. I think
Okay.
that David must be comfortable with it because he's the contact.
Okay.
But but he's the only essential assenter.
Okay.
Give me a second, just getting rid of some old ones here. I think we looked at these last time. No one's new. Okay. All right. So
are we
actually,
on posts? I have there were some interesting ones this week. I just have to drop them in the notes.
yeah, just go ahead and paste them in. You got a few minutes before I get there. Okay, so action items. I think we covered all these. We're going to work on getting the word out there for the Splints for Ukraine. I don't have any guest presentations coming up. Metrics here. Not much has changed.
You know, we do. We haven't gotten very far with it, but James Quilty has a story to tell, and I think Sarah is pinging him regularly when he's ready.
Okay. Still have a good e-NABLE fund balance, which I hope we can put to good use. We got some big projects this year, so we'll talk more about that. All right, so on the hub this week, we've got Christoph revised cuff for kinetic hand. Okay.
Nope, that's old. I have not yet updated the
What about this one from Vivek?
nope, that's also from last week. I have not yet updated the
All right, you want us
I'm
to come back to this?
pasting it in right now, so.
Okay.
Actually,
Let's see. While she's doing that, I don't know if we
it
have.
should be updated now, so if you.
I don't know if we have events yet for. Do we have February yet, or is that still a work in progress?
February is not publicly updated, no.
So we don't have that yet. Okay, so. Christoph knows sometimes we need to fit a.
That was last week again, so if you.
Okay. It reappeared then. I'll get rid of it.
Evan is with us.
Tebow, horrible motorcycle accident, paralyzed arm. He's going to have his 6th surgery to fix his arm, but will never be able to recover his hand or wrist movement. I'm looking for design. Maybe you guys were able to help me out. Left arm. Belgium.
So I saw that one, and my sense is that he has an intact arm. He's just lost mobility.
That's what it
And
sounds like.
I don't think we have a solution to offer.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to understand this idea from Bonita. I'm not fully clear on what is being suggested here, but yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like you need an exoskeletal type device to aid with movement. I'm not aware of anything specific for that. Are you, Rick? Of an arm for an intact arm, but to provide movement?
The only thing I would even think about for that might be the prayer hand, prayer arm.
Okay, but
which
doesn't
is somewhat of an exoskeletal.
Is it? Okay, I'm not familiar enough with it. I thought that was actually an arm for somebody that's missing one, but maybe I'm mistaken.
We could look into it. I believe that was its design criteria at the time.
Okay.
Well, it's worth checking. My impression of the prayer hand was different still, but rather than debate it, we should take a look at it. It does occur to me, I don't know whether this would be worthwhile, but if his arm is hanging limp, I could imagine an exoskeleton just with a ratcheting elbow joint,
Right.
so that he could use his good hand to position his passive arm and just put it in a position that he liked.
It's either going to be that or it's going to be a harness situation. But I'm not aware of something like that. I think, you know, the mechanics are probably there in different designs. I know we've had a couple of exoskeletal hand devices, and of course we have the arm mechanic. So it's not out of reach, but I don't know that we have anything available right now for people to use.
Right. I think that's the main point, is that we'd be
Was the
interested in
frog,
understanding more about his case, but we doubt that we have any existing solutions.
was the frog arm, a possibility?
Well, that's one that I was thinking about. I think that's actually, even though it's called an arm, I'm pretty sure that was intended more for hands.
Okay.
That's correct. That's correct. It
How
used
much of
elbow
the-
movement. It used elbow movement to bend and unbend the fingers. But this guy doesn't have elbow movement, I don't think. And I don't think it really became a robust solution.
No, I don't think it ever really got finished. It even looks kind of unfinished.
How much of the individual's limb is mobile? How much control does he have?
All we know is the sentence or two, which suggests that he has, quote, no ability to move his arm.
I mean, that could mean 1,000 things.
Exactly.
We'd have to, we'd have to, if there were any possibility to assist here, I mean, we'd have to get someone clinical involved on his end to make sure that any devices that are given, I mean, if you're talking about, gosh, that's where I get a little worried about, discussing ratchets and positioning. You have if he also has like loss of sensation or anything that goes along with that.
Right.
There's a much greater increase for like skin breakdown.
Right. So Jeremy, actually, that thing that you just showed is new to me and looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got
but-
some interesting mechanics, but I agree with Adam. It would need a lot more information, at least
That's right.
some more detail and maybe a video, and I don't know. But
Right.
I'm just thinking that I mean, when you look at things like this and like some of our existing arms, I feel like somebody, with the right skills could kind of piece things together, taking components from this, components from an arm, et cetera. And there's a solution for this. I just don't know if it's within reach or if we have people to do it.
Well, that's right. And I think you'd need to know that this guy was there as a real collaborator,
Exactly.
which I think is the nature of the response, that we don't have a solution. It might be possible. We need to understand more about your case, and you'd need to be a collaborator rather than just a recipient.
I mean,
Well, and most importantly, what he wants to use it for.
right.
Because that changes anything that is looked at.
So it would be,
So I guess
it'd be nice
the
if
only
there was-
question is, who among us wants to respond to him?
Well, do you guys know of any really active, experienced volunteers in Belgium that we might be able to connect for this?
That's a good question. I haven't looked at the map lately. As a matter of fact, there's a Belgian prosthetist who works in Africa, so that won't help. Although he's the guy Kyle worked with.
Kyle, are you talking about Kyle Reeser?
Yeah. In Tanzania, he visited he spent a week at that guy's African location. I think he goes back and forth to Belgium, but it's still the case that even before we bother who is a senior sophisticated prosthetist, we want to know more about this guy's case.
Sure.
And his
maybe,
willingness.
How about this, Sarah, would you be willing to, as usual, kind of post a link to this part of our discussion in the video and also ask him for the, what we're talking about, ask him to share some more details and maybe a video clip?
I mean, I don't know if this discussion would help. If I were
Not going to be very helpful.
If I were reaching out for help, I wouldn't want to see a discussion of some things that might not work. So
I have articulated an appropriate response.
Okay.
If you're willing to do it, that would be great. If you're not, I can do it.
I would be happy. I would be happy to respond. I just, I mean, do you want me to post the video discussion or?
No, I think you're right. I think the video is a bit divergent. But
Okay.
But
saying,
yes, I'm happy to respond.
but you could say, look, we did discuss it. We need to know more. If you tell us more and if you're able to collaborate, we might be able to work with you.
Yep.
Okay, on we go. Claire Kim, High School Biomedical Engineering Club, working on prosthetic hands, want to start a chapter, printing a kinetic hand, looking for patients to work with. Common question, right, folks? How do we find recipients to work with? They're in Colorado. Looks like Adam pointed her towards the new member space and the new member meetup. Let's see, Fort Collins, an introduction.
We did get a query from someone who said he was looking for a kinetic hand not too long ago.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't think of anything to tell them except for our kind of usual response. I think we even have that written up as a template somewhere, unfortunately, it's a known issue. It's something that we're working on, trying to do a better job with outreach, trying to get the word out to more people. Right now, we have a very limited ability to help connect you with actual recipients. We'd recommend that you reach out to local, organizations, schools, clinics, things like that in your
Jeremy, does Sarah have access to your collection of hand responses?
Well, I mean, it depends on if that's where it even is. I don't remember if we have that in Desk. No, Desk is one of those platforms where we kind of pay per user. So I only have Rick in there right now. But if I have a good template for it, I'd be happy to just send it to her, copy and paste it to her. I think it was, where was that? I think it was for classroom. No. Hands, classroom. I can't even find, maybe it's under my other 3D universe stuff. This is, I mean, there's some of it here. You can contact chapters to see if you can find, if they have any recipients. You can use e-NABLE Web Central. That's already becoming dated advice because it's not very useful at this point. Yeah, I don't think I do have an up-to-date templated response for this. So maybe I need to write something up for this particular inquiry, how to find recipients. I'll take a stab at it and send it to you, Sarah. How about that?
Okay.
Now, Sarah has, I think, Sarah and Adam are both, I think, queued up to discuss an outreach strategy. At some point, Sarah, you should update us on that.
Yep, we've got that on the agenda. Okay, where was I? Posts. Sanjana, let's check into that. Sanjana is junior, Delaware, working on a research project, 3D printing prosthetics for AP research class, conducting a study on patient satisfaction of adolescents. Okay, this is always a challenge. So they're asking for people to fill out their survey. I mean, there's a link to the survey, so I hope people will jump in and fill it out. Unfortunately, I'm not optimistic given our lack of success with these attempts in the past. We've had a very hard time getting feedback from actual device users. I certainly wish this individual luck, but I don't know. Anybody have any suggestions for anything else? Maybe posting this in our Facebook groups too, do you think? Maybe we should suggest that. I don't know how much of a response they'll get through the hub alone. Any other suggestions?
I remember a recent post, I think on the hub, of someone's who showed a picture of a kinetic hand and said that he was interested in one.
We're getting you twice, John.
That's true. No, sorry, let me just. Okay, now there's one of me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I remember a recent post on the hub. Someone said, "I'm looking for something like this," mentioned the kinetic hand and showed a picture of the kinetic hand.
So if we can find that post, we can point this person to that person.
Are we talking about two different posts here? This is the person looking to do a research project and wants to survey device
I
users.
beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, so I think you're talking about the last post that was.
Yeah, I did not survive the transition to my.
It's okay. So this is
Okay.
somebody looking to do a survey, and I was just saying, how else can we help them? The only thing I can think of is tell them, maybe post this in our e-NABLE Facebook group, and because I think more people would probably see it there than would see it in the hub. Does that seem like a reasonable suggestion?
It does.
Okay. So I don't know, maybe Sarah, do you want to do a follow-up reply in there? Just direct him over to our e-NABLE Facebook group and suggest maybe they post this there as well.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, Ryan, let's see. Interested in, he's in Florida, apologize, not born with partially developed fingers on both hands, came across the page, looking for options. He's functioned his whole life. He's 33 without prosthetics, and recently saw a video. Someone with similar hands using prosthetic fingers. Sounds like he might be talking about individual finger control. I don't know. Gave me an emotional response. Never considered going this route. Don't have a 3D printer or access to one. Happy to work with someone who does. So it sounds like somebody who's definitely willing to collaborate and work with somebody. That's always a good thing to see. I see a couple of people here already offering to help. Okay. Gainesville, Northern Florida. Marty, Maryland, but would love to work with you.
Okay. I mean,
He's got a lot of
the
work. Yeah, I mean,
working. That's
it
right.
looks like a lot of people are, yeah, I think we let it go. It looks like he's already got a good response, and hopefully one of those people will be able to help him. So it looks good. Okay, moving on then. Let's see. Let's see, maybe we can look at the calendar just real quick for February. I think it's going to
That's
be.
not updated
Calendar's
yet.
not up to date. Oh, okay. Then events for February coming soon.
Yeah.
All right, so last time we talked about getting Trello set up. We don't have an update yet, but Adam's going to be working on that. For right now, we do have it just kind of a preliminary setup, as you can see here, where we would basically just put in all the various initiatives that we have. They would sit in some kind of a column over here where they're kind of waiting for somebody to claim them, and then they sort of move through the phases as once they get assigned or taken on by somebody, and then move through to completion.
Apologies for the delay.
No problem at all.
I was frozen in Cleveland all week, so literally and figuratively.
I just want to stress that I'm, Adam is in a better position to kind of figure out the best setup. So the titles of these columns may very well change. I'm going to leave that to Adam, but the basic idea is that you kind of move from left to right until it's complete and into a monitoring phase. And to me, it seems like a really nice way of having everything kind of in a dashboard, at a glance kind of view, which seems to be what works well with our community. You got to make things really easy to digest and easy to kind of see where things are at. And I think this will do that if we can set it up right. So more detail on that coming soon. But we have the access we need. Licenses are all set up. We're ready to go. So we're making progress. Okay, John, you want to talk about Rochester e-NABLE Limited as fiscal sponsor for ERA?
Right. So to review, Rochester e-NABLE Limited is a 501c3 nonprofit that we set up as the financial agent for e-NABLE. The main thing it does these days, it used to do two things. It used to support the e-NABLE fund and just handle the transactions and the bookkeeping and the reporting to the IRS, so that we've been able to accept tax deductible and foundation donations in support of the e-NABLE community. And secondly, it was supporting the Rochester e-NABLE lab when we were at a local charter school. But when COVID came, that ended, and it has not picked up again. Since then, just in the last few years, I, as you know, have become very enmeshed in the Eco Restoration Alliance, an e-NABLE-like global network of volunteers using internet communications and natural solutions to help restore the climate. And that group, the Eco Restoration Alliance, which by the way, also has quite a sophisticated map inspired by the e-NABLE map, but it goes a step further in a way that I've always wanted to do. So I'm actually putting a link in here, and Jeremy, you might want to call it up. The map to save the future as, sorry, that should have been HTTP, but you know what to do. It's one of a number of initiatives that the Eco Restoration Alliance is doing. In this case, you can see we have 1,000 Eco Restoration Alliance, Eco Restoration success stories, some of them done by our members, but this aims to be a map of eco restoration projects of all kinds all over the world. If you click on an item, you get a zoom in on the story. This one is missing a description. If you click on another item, you'll see that most of them have descriptions. If you click on the panel at the middle panel, it will zoom into the place in question. And if you click on the middle of the big middle panel, click.
I'm clicking. It's not doing anything.
Well, nobody's perfect. There you go. Okay, just a little more interactivity. And then the button at the bottom takes you to the source.
Mhm.
If we had, and there are thousands of e-NABLE projects, it would be very easy, if culled, for example, from Facebook groups and so on, it would be possible for me to knock one of these off and have an e-NABLE story map as well. But that's not the point. The point is that the Eco Restoration Alliance is involved in a number of projects, and it, as of yesterday, is in search of a fiscal sponsor. There are two obvious ways to go on this. One is to use a service like Open Collective, which now offers this kind of fiscal sponsorship as a service. And the other is, of course, just to roll it under the 501c3 that I already have got bylaws and a process for. And Evan has been doing wonderful work on the bookkeeping and so on and so forth. So just because it's called Rochester e-NABLE Limited, and because it is the mothership for e-NABLE's finances, I just wanted to review this with this group. I have toyed with the idea of, in this context, also changing the name of the nonprofit so that it was
John, I just got to say, whether you do that or not is entirely up to you. And I'll just reiterate what I said before. And I don't mean this to sound dismissive or anything like that, but this has nothing to do with us. We have absolutely no say in this. Whether your nonprofit chooses to be fiscal sponsor for some other organization has no impact on us, and we don't need any say in that choice whatsoever.
I appreciate that. I'm not actually asking for approval. I'm informing you and seeing if it suggests any complexities.
I see no issue, and the name is, I don't see that as a problem, because that's just illegality. I mean, Rochester e-NABLE Limited can certainly be a fiscal sponsor for ERA without changing the name, but you might choose that you want a more generic name. That's entirely up to you. But
well, I have in this context, it has occurred to me that instead of the mouthful Eco Restoration Alliance, I could have created something called e-NABLE.earth. And I keep coming back to that idea.
Well, you could go the other way too, right? I mean, because now you essentially have this nonprofit that is sponsoring and supporting multiple global, big initiatives. So maybe your organization has some other appropriately big global kind of name. I don't know what that is, but that's, yeah, I think those choices are entirely up to you. I think, we value the support that your organization gives for the e-NABLE Fund and all that. And I don't see this impacting that at all. Anyone else see it differently?
Tough crowd, but I have done my duty, and if any issues arise or concern you all, let me know. I'll let you know if we decide to go this way.
Anyone else here think I'm off on this? Does anyone see any impact that I'm missing?
I just want to chime in for a moment.
Yeah.
Fully agree with what Jeremy says. That's all correct. The only two things I wanted to bring up related to this topic is, one, when I came on board and started digging through all the files, I never saw an official fiscal sponsor agreement. And it's come to my attention when I was talking to John that that's something fiscal sponsors do. So maybe that's something we can set up, especially now that we're toying with the idea that Rochester e-NABLE Limited might be sponsoring a different initiative.
I did remember seeing something. Did we not do something, John? Was it, am I thinking of a Lumio proposal maybe? Is that what?
Oh, we certainly have the Lumio proposal. In fact, I think it's the first
Yeah, maybe that's the
proposal
basis of an agreement. I
on
think,
Lumio.
right, yeah.
But Evan
Yeah.
is right. A fiscal sponsor agreement is a sort of boilerplate legal document, but typically it's between a fiscal sponsor and a corporation. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. There usually is an agreement. In this case, we came into existence for this purpose. And Evan, we should review whether we want to create one
Yeah. I
for the
agree.
e-NABLE community as well. And discuss it in this forum in the future.
I've been scrolling through Lumio. I've seen the proposal before in the past and I've read through the entire thing. Maybe I don't remember what the title was, but I could not find it.
I'm having trouble finding it too. I think this is for the actual Lumio
Actually, I
process.
wonder if this happened pre-Lumio. You remember we had that meeting in Seattle back in the day.
That is possible. Maybe this was something that was posted elsewhere. Anyway, we won't have to do this live, but let's maybe take that as our action item. Let's see if we
Okay.
can find any documentation about the fiscal sponsorship that might form the basis of an agreement. And if we can't find it, we write one up. I mean, I think we do understand what the details are, percentage. and all
Right. Yeah. It's
Evan,
pretty
did you have a second point you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, my other point was currently Rochester e-NABLE Limited is paying for a couple of e-NABLE funds expenses like I think Bullying Benchmark, the Microsoft $45 a month subscription, I think for the server hosting. So I don't mind that Rochester e-NABLE Limited continues to handle those expenses, but since we're going to potentially have another fiscal sponsor, I just believe those boundaries need to be extra clear.
Well, that's right. And for that matter, would be more appropriate for that to be paid from the e-NABLE fund with approval by this group.
Well,
I guess. The question is, are they Rochester e-NABLE general infrastructure fees?
John,
or
the things he's talking about, most of them need to be paid by credit card. So I would recommend doing it the way you're doing it, but maybe on an annual basis, you get reimbursed from the e-NABLE fund for those charges or something like that. Just because, we don't have a card for the e-NABLE fund,
Right.
say.
Right.
And then you might also think about like when you start doing that kind of thing for ERA, just get yourself a separate account, separate card and keep those things separate.
okay. Well, Adam is on the case and we'll look
So we
into it.
put that down for you, John. Obviously, I'd encourage Evan to help, but I wanted to assign it to one person. So I put you
Absolutely.
down to find fiscal sponsorship documentation. But Evan, that's a great idea. Any other thoughts, Evan, on that whole topic?
Nope. Y'all pretty much covered everything before my 2 points.
All right. I don't think we have any discretionary funding proposals today. We did approve the Trello licenses last time, and that's been taken care of, but I don't have anything further. Speak up if anyone else does. Chapter audit's going to proceed now that we have coordination between Rick and Sarah, so we'll get an update on that next time. I am working to coordinate a meeting with Brent for the matching platform, so I might have updates for you next time. Evan, heads up, there will be a couple of plugins that we need to activate in order to get that new matching platform up. They're not very expensive, as you can see here. Those are annual costs that you're seeing, but I'm not going to bother doing that until I have a volunteer ready to actually work on this, so I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
And I hope to talk to Brent also about how we want to handle collection and distribution of e-NABLE devices, or even if that's something we want to be trying to do. And then that same discussion with Brent kind of got us back into a discussion about outreach. And so we now have I think at least 3 people, Adam, Sarah, and Brent, who seem to be interested in outreach as a primary focus. And I'd love to see that kind of move forward as a team effort. So I guess I will, since I have it on as an action item to have a meeting with Brent anyway, just to talk about the matching platform. I might use that as an opportunity to pick his brain a little bit on how he's feeling from our last conversation about what sort of involvement he wants and if he has time. And maybe I can encourage a follow-up meeting to talk about outreach.
Let me just say,
Jeremy.
Go ahead, Adam.
I'm sending out a Zoom invite to Sarah and Brent.
Excellent. When is that for?
Wednesday morning to
Oh,
discuss this. So, yeah.
Then we'll see. Maybe he will have already talked to you when I have my meeting with him, and I can get an update on that. But we'll check in with you next time then. So that's exciting.
Point of information on that. Because Brent has previously done a couple of big shipments to India and one other, I think, Asian location, it's possible that this could also relate to the other question Brent has been involved with, which is what do we do about the send a completed hand to this address thing?
Right. That's what I meant when I said I'd talk to him about the collection and distribution. That's going to be part of what I talked to him about.
Right. So outreach, collection, and distribution are somewhat associated. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I'll report back on the collection and distribution on the conversation I had with Brent, and Adam will report back on their outreach discussion. So we'll compare notes next week. Okay. We already talked about Splints for Ukraine. I hope to see us get that going. Like I said, there's definitely needs for it now. So let's not let the press release hold us up. We'll get people printing. I printed about, I think I did about 24 or so and shipped them off already. And they're very easy to print. I'd say anyone with just about any FDM printer, because you're printing in PLA. I use tough PLA, but yeah, they're calling for regular PLA. So it really is an easy print. It prints flat. You don't have to do the thermoforming. You just ship them flat. So they're easy to print, easy to ship. Just a great thing to do with your 3D printer while it's idle. So, I hope to see a lot of people get involved with that. So that's all I had for the topics for today. Let me open it up to you guys. Anyone want to talk about anything? We can certainly wrap early. Otherwise,
there were a couple of action items under my name right there. I just wanted to touch on really briefly.
Oh yeah, sure.
If that's all right.
Please.
So the discussion, and I'm sorry, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So regarding U.S. outreach, I've been kind of extending some feelers to a couple of my contacts in a couple of health systems. I'm hopeful that I will start hearing word back in the coming weeks, but I will share some of those details with Brent and Sarah when we meet on Wednesday and see if they have some other ideas about how we can make this a little bit more impactful. I almost said more focused, but I think focus might not be the solution. I think, dragnet style might be what we need to end up doing.
Right.
Regarding organizational collaboration, Rick, the contact you put me in touch with 50 Legs, I have not reached out to again, just because my only means of communication with him is his personal cell phone, and I feel a little weird about sending this guy a text. He gave me an open invitation to do so, but I don't know. I feel like it would be nice to reach out to the larger organization. So I wanted to check with you, Rick, if you had any ties with 50 Legs outside of the dude in charge.
He has one guy that is his right hand, and
Okay.
I can't quite recall his name. I think it's in my phone book. But other than he and his right hand guy, I guess contacting it like you are right now through the his website would probably be okay. I just don't know if I don't know if that bubbles up to him or not.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's worth a try though, as a first step. I would just fill out this form as a general.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. And if I don't hear anything in a couple of weeks, then I'll reach out to Steve again, and we'll just go that way.
Yeah.
Regarding the Afghan initiative, that's been stalled for a little bit. I'm going to speak very frankly. It has become apparent that in order to accomplish this, we're going to have to coordinate with elements of the government that are just, I'll just say it, that's just run by the Taliban right now. And it's really hard. It has been amazingly difficult to try to get any information about how this could feasibly work. Not all bad news, though. I've got another meeting with the gentleman in about 20 minutes here to try to take this a few steps further. If that doesn't pan out, the Helping Hand Project in North Carolina, I've got apparently 3 individuals, students with the HHP, who have voiced interest in lending support with the logistics side here, and seeing how we could look at some maybe outside of the box avenues to potentially establish some kind of logistics pathway. Just as a reminder, the big hurdle in making this work is, we can print hands all day long. We can set up a great matching platform of some kind specifically for individuals in and around Kabul. But if we don't have a means of getting the devices there, there's no point. So it's been stalled for, like 2 months now. My apologies for the delay, but I keep running into one wall after another. And my nose is so bloodied at this point that I'm not really sure what to do next. But not giving up hope. We've got a couple more possibles, and I'll let you know if any of those pan out.
No, Adam, I mean, nobody can accuse you lack of effort for sure, but I think we really do need to be smart about focusing where we can actually have the most impact and the most success.
Yep. Agreed.
That's not here right now. So we need to shift focus to where we can actually do some good.
Yep, I agree. I wanted to just exhaust these last couple of avenues, and if it doesn't bear fruit, man, I've been mixing metaphors a lot lately. I'll be, I'll move. As I told y'all, I think 2 weeks ago, I think my primary desire is to kind of shift my eyes stateside to see how we can better match up our makers with folks in the U.S.
I think that's a good approach. Honestly, Adam, I'm concerned. I would be concerned about you continuing to focus too much on Afghanistan, not just because of it not being where we can have the most impact, but because at kind of a psychological, emotional level, it's going to burn you out putting too much work in on something that's not going anywhere, and we can't afford.
Yeah, no,
else.
and I hear that, and I agree. I feel bad because the people I was talking to were really excited to have the help, and I feel like I'm letting them down. But it's been tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to give the quick update there. I really think that with Brent and Sarah, and possibly if the Helping Hand volunteers are willing to, kind of shift gears as soon as the rubber hits the road. There we go. There's a consistent metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll have maybe a little bit more horsepower. Let's just keep this metaphor going to get this across the finish line.
On a related note, I don't know if you guys saw the email that I sent earlier this week, but I had a meeting with a gentleman through my company. His name is Suhaib, and he's actually starting a nonprofit organization for assistive devices. Now, he's focused on kind of the other dimensions of things like wheelchairs and wheelchair attachments, and not necessarily prosthetics, but he seemed like he is focused primarily on the outreach and partnership side of it. And our discussion was, well, hey, we've got a surplus of makers and volunteers. If you're going to be focusing on outreach and partnerships in the assistive community, we ought to talk. Maybe there's a way that we could work together. So, Adam, I do feel like he could be a potential asset or partner in this. If you're willing to have a discussion, I thought it would be good for me and John and Brent if he's willing to meet with this guy. So.
It sounds like he's doing what I've set out to do much more effectively than I have so far. So,
well, I don't know. That's to be seen, but that's where his interest lies. And I did confirm that he intends to be completely nonprofit and open source with all of his work. So there seems like there could be synergy there. So just maybe when you have a minute, reply back to that. Let's see if we can find a day and time that would be okay to work. He said Wednesdays would be best for him. So maybe if there's a Wednesday, either next Wednesday or the following one, if you guys could let me know if that's okay, we'll coordinate a Zoom meeting. Okay. All right. So that's all I had on the agenda. Anybody have anything else you'd like to discuss?
I
Rick,
do.
any help with? Oh, Rick, you got some? What's up?
I have 3 different tickets. I have forwarded to
We
you,
have to look at anything there. Okay.
and I need your help on, because they're a little above my pay grade.
Well, let's take a look. Okay, I only see 2.
That's odd.
Wanted to make sure that we are still partners for giving prosthetics. And they want to request the CAD files and templates. Well, yeah, I hope we're still partners. Anyone's welcome to be making these. You want me to respond to that one?
I wanted to make sure that they got a more official answer than I was prepared to give. My take was, well, yeah, but
Well, yeah, of course they are. I mean,
I
are they,
didn't know if this was somebody that was a long term or a long time.
No, we don't have a special
Especially-
relationship.
are
with
they
them.
chapter? Did you look to see if there's anyone on the chapter list?
I did not see them on a chapter list.
Okay, so I would just let them know that, I don't see you on our official chapter list, but you're absolutely, welcome to remain a part of the community and volunteer. And of course, we still consider you a partner. If you would like to create a formal chapter, here's a link to where you can learn how to do that. I mean, that's
Yeah, they're at the University of California. I just thought maybe you guys had some kind of an ongoing relationship. I
No,
wasn't
it does
aware
not
of.
ring a bell, interestingly.
No. No. And then as far as CAD files, just point them to the devices catalog, because those devices that have
Yeah.
CAD files available, they'll be linked on those individual pages. So just link
They-
them to the device.
Yeah,
catalog.
he just kind of alluded to maybe there was a long-term relationship that I was unaware of. So that's why.
Yeah,
wanted to
I hear
forward
you.
it to
No, not in that case. So you go ahead and reply to that one. Let's look at this other one. Use of photograph. Oh, okay. Somebody asked
I
me.
didn't really see this as a problem either, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure.
So what are they looking to use? Okay. Who took that one? Do you recognize that one, John?
No.
That's
Nice
not one of
picture.
mine.
And it's relatively recent. Now, Google image search is pretty good at tracking sources.
Well, it says this was from November of 2019, and it's called EC5. Okay, that doesn't really help. Well, I mean, that's definitely one of our photos. I mean, somebody in our community took that. That's not something that came from somewhere else. So I see no problem telling them they can use this. Do you, John?
No, I would copy the link, go to image.google.com
Okay,
and just see what it comes up with.
I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so Google
Images.
images.
Yes. And that's the
So
only
you think
place
this will
it
take
shows
me to
up.
the relevant post? Oh, okay, so it's enabled devices. That's just our device collection image, but I don't remember who took that one. I know these aren't my devices because of the colors. I don't have some of these colors, so I don't know where the image came from, but it's definitely like from one of our events.
Yeah, I would presume it's fair game.
Okay, so
I didn't personally see a problem, but I didn't want to step on anything here either.
no,
That's all
no,
right.
I don't see any problem. Let me just take a look here. Be available online, linked with exhibitions. They're a nonprofit. Okay. I say, yeah, just tell them they're welcome to use it.
Okay.
Let me just pop this up and take a quick look. Sockets, co-creation, application of key enabling technologies towards diversity, innovation, and social societal challenges. Looks very compatible.
I'll do it.
Gotta learn more about them.
I have something cool for you guys.
What's that? Hold on, let me stop my screen share so we can see you.
Hello. What are we looking at, Rick?
What are we looking at?
A MIDI glove.
A MIDI glove.
Oh, fun.
Full polyphonic.
Neat.
Still working on it, but it's full polyphonic. And
So you can turn a handshake into music.
absolutely.
Very
We're
nice.
thinking of stretching it over one of the hands. We thought that'd be a hoot for someone that couldn't play anymore.
That's interesting. Or for someone who has lost sensory.
Yep.
Uh,
Because it's MIDI, it doesn't need to be music. It can be anything. We can hook
Yeah.
it to We could hook it to anything wireless, basically. It could be an IoT device. It could actually operate locks. It could operate lights. I do it with music because it's an interesting way to demonstrate it. But
Right.
there's nothing stopping me from triggering whatever device I choose. So it's kind of a simple thing, but it's a hoot. All wireless.
Adam has posted a nice news article from the BBC. And Sarah, falls into the bionics category. So you might want to look at the article and reach out to this kid and see if.
Well, it says robotic hand, but I don't know. Looking at the picture, that looks like
I don't think it's bionic. Yeah,
It's like a Phoenix.
I actually dropped it there because I thought it looked like an e-NABLE design, but I didn't see any mention of e-NABLE, and none of the people mentioned the article were in the
It's
hub.
definitely that's a Phoenix V2 hand.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know whether or not any of the people involved had ever been involved in the e-NABLE community, and if not, if we could reach out to them and just say, hey, we saw your article, and I don't know, just seemed like a nice way to bring them into the fold.
Yeah, of course, it also brings up the whole question of how do we get people to give credit to the designers when they do media stuff, but
Right.
that's
There's
not
also
always. Okay. I don't know. John, any thoughts on that? Do you want to reach out, or I don't recognize any of the names?
No, I would just let it be. Just another example of e-NABLE doing good all over the world without getting full credit, and we don't care because we're not in it for the credit.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's doing some good, I don't think it's an issue.
I'm in it for the money, personally.
How's that working
Still-
out for you there?
Yeah, still waiting on that, but
Right. Yeah, you're due for a raise. All right, guys, I'm going to get going, get ready for my next meeting, and I will see you all next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye
have a
all.
good one.